All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pam Bella with Real Talk and Why Did I? Today, I'm going to talk about the first man I met that taught me what abuse feels like. Now, with that being said, I met this man down south, down in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I moved down there because I had got pregnant from my daughter's father, and his parents asked me to come down there because, that's their first grandchild and they wanted to be there for the birth. I'm like, all right. So I ended up packing up, leaving Orlando, Florida, and that's how I ended up in St. Petersburg. Now, with that being said, after I had my daughter, I started hanging out. I started meeting new people. I got me a couple of jobs. I ended up getting my CNA license, working in a couple of nursing homes, and everything was up and up from there. Now, like I said, I started hanging out, meeting new people, and then I ran into this guy. When I met this guy, me and my homegirls were going to a concert down in Tampa. Now, when we went down to Tampa, we had a good time. Everybody hang out. Homeboys was together, homegirls was together, everybody got home safe. Now, the next day, I get up to go to work. I was working at a nursing home. And back then, it was back in 2001. I had a beeper. I don't y'all laugh, back in the day, them beepers used to be everything. Now, you send them codes, you know what them codes mean. So, I get a beep in one of my beepers, and I call from the nursing home phone. I called and I'm like, well, who is this? Who is this? And they said who they was. And I say, oh, well, how you get my number? Come to find out, my homegirl hadn't gave him the number. He done hit me up. I guess, she was just looking out. I understand. I ain't mad. She was just looking out. But with that being said, we started talking. We were just giggling over the phone. So I said, you know what? I can't talk on these phones here. Call me on my cell on my break. I told him what time my break was. He called. We talked and we talked and we talked. We laughed. He told me things about his family. I was telling him things about my family. I was telling him where I came from, how many kids I had, and what I was looking for in life. And, he was on the phone, sweet talking me, telling me who he was. But then he finally opened up a little bit more and told me he had just got out of prison. I'm like, oh, Lord. But, people make mistakes. People change, That's what you think sometimes. But anyway, he told me that he was incarcerated. He had went to prison for 12 years. I'm like, okay, what did you do? He told me what happened to him. I'm like, okay, but you're not going to do that no more, right? Okay. He told me that he had went to jail for robbery. I'm like, robbery? Oh, boy. But like I said, everybody make mistakes, So we talking on the phone. He telling me about his family. He telling me about his daughter. He had a little girl, and she was very cute. He showed me some pictures of her. I was like, okay, everything sound good, So then he's like, what time you get off? I'm like, I get off like later on, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, He's like, well, let's just link up, I said, well, I got to go home. I got to take a shower. I got to get my baby, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right. We'll link up when it's time, when you got time. I've said, okay, we ain't got to rush it, And that's what happens. Men, y'all be trying to rush stuff all the time. Women, y'all do it too. But anyway, I link up with him a few days later. We go out, we hang out, we have dinner. He's just the perfect gentleman. He made it seem like the only thing that happened to him is when he did go to prison, He made it seem like he didn't do nothing wrong, Not knowing this person was disrupt. But when it comes down to that, we hanging out. We go to his mom's house for the first date. He wanted to stop to check on the dog. I'm like, what dog? He got some type of pit or something in there, and he loved pits. So he checking on the dog. I'm sitting in the living room. His mom walks in. When his mom walks in, she's looking like, well, who is this lady on my couch? So I say, hey, ma'am, how you doing? I stood up, shook her hand. He's in there messing around with the dog. So she goes in her room, do what she got to do. He's like, you ready to go? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we leave. We go hang out. And that's it. We go hang out. We have drinks. He take me back to my car. And that's it. That's how it went down for the first date. We talked over the phone, and that's just what it is. But always remember, ladies, when you fall in love, it brings lies. And when you have lies, it's lessons to be learned. And that's real talk. Y'all stick with me. Number 2 coming up.